Two travelers book the same flight to Europe. One pays €7 online and gets cleared in minutes. The other pays €90, submits bank statements and employer letters, then waits up to 45 days with no guarantee of approval. Same destination, different passport. That gap between roaming free and waiting months for a stamp isn't random. It's built into systems most travelers never see. An Australian traveler opens a laptop, enters basic details, pays €7, and receives a green light for Europe within the hour. For them, the process is a checkbox routine, almost invisible. Meanwhile, a traveler with a lower-ranked passport faces a different reality. Before booking any ticket, they gather months of bank statements, employer letters, hotel confirmations, and pay a €90 fee. The paperwork stacks up: insurance forms, appointment slips, courier receipts. Processing drags on for weeks, sometimes stretching to 45 days, with no promise of success. The Australian's approval is nearly automatic, an ETS digital clearance that rarely denies. The other traveler waits in suspense, knowing rejection is a real risk. The true obstacle is not at the airport, it is in the bureaucracy that comes before. For some, travel is a right. For others, it is a privilege that must be earned, document by document, fee by fee. The Henley Passport Index turns a traveler's experience into a number. Out of 199 ordinary passports, each is tested against 227 destinations. Every place a passport holder can enter without a pre-arranged visa adds a point to the score. That includes not just true visa-free access, but also visa on arrival, electronic travel authorizations, and e-visas. The system draws all its data from IATA's thematic database, the same source airlines use to check if you can board a flight. On paper, a visa on arrival at a remote border post counts the same as a digital pre-clearance that takes minutes. The index updates monthly, tracking policy shifts and new agreements. But the ranking is a blunt instrument. It doesn't measure how long you're allowed to stay, how much paperwork is involved, or whether hidden steps like health certificates or extra interviews stand in the way. A high score looks impressive, but it can mask a journey full of hassle. The index offers a clean scoreboard, but it can't capture the real hassle some travelers face, even when the number says the door is open. Modern passport strength is built on layers of history, diplomacy, and bureaucracy. When dozens of countries gained independence after World War II, most started with almost no consular network. Building embassies and negotiating travel agreements takes decades and serious resources. Today, China operates 274 diplomatic posts worldwide. Germany maintains 217. These networks give their citizens real leverage. More embassies mean more deals, faster emergency help, and better odds of negotiating visa waivers. At the other end, Afghanistan's diplomatic presence is a fraction of that, limiting its ability to bargain for its citizens' mobility. Bloc arrangements multiply these effects. The Schengen area bundles 26 European countries into a single zone. Commonwealth ties, though less formal, still make it easier for citizens of former British colonies like Australia or Canada to visit each other. A passport is not just a travel document. It is a record of how much diplomatic muscle a country can flex. Governance quality matters too. Countries with higher scores for stability and rule of law are seen as safer bets. Their citizens are less likely to overstay, so they get more doors opened. Data from the Henley Global Mobility Report shows a clear pattern. Passports from countries with strong governance unlock more destinations. For example, democracies with high gross domestic product can offer 80 or more visa-free destinations. Non-democracies at the same income level may offer half as many. But paperwork isn't just about politics. Administrative limits shape everything. Understaffed embassies process fewer applications and take longer to verify documents. Biometric systems and data sharing agreements, like those in the European Union's Schengen Information System, were designed for security, but they add new hurdles. For applicants from Africa, the average Schengen visa refusal rate is 27%, compared to a global average of 16%. Some countries face even higher barriers. Nigeria's refusal rate recently spiked to nearly 46%, and Bangladesh's hit almost 55%. Behind these numbers are real people. A Nigerian applicant might wait months, only to be denied without explanation. An immigration lawyer sums it up. If your country can't afford a big embassy, or if you come from a place seen as high risk, you face more checks and higher rejection odds no matter how good your paperwork is. One traveler from Bangladesh describes the process as jumping through endless hoops, knowing you might still get a no at the end. The border is not just a wall, it is a sorting machine. The system sorts travelers by their country's diplomatic reach, governance score, and perceived risk. Those with weak passports face more bureaucracy, longer waits, and higher costs, while others move almost effortlessly. The privilege gap is not just about where you want to go. It is about the invisible machinery that decides who gets to cross and who gets stuck waiting. Citizenship by investment has turned mobility into a product for sale. In 2026, more than 165,000 high net worth individuals are expected to secure a new passport or residency through investment, up from 142,000 the year before. The market now channels $12 billion a year, with programs from the Caribbean to the Mediterranean offering a shortcut for those who can pay. A St. Kitts and Nevis passport can be bought for a minimum real estate investment of $325,000, while European golden visas often require €250,000 to €500,000 in property or business assets. For ordinary applicants, the path to citizenship still demands years of residence, language exams, and integration checks. The industry packages freedom as a deliverable, brochures promise global access and a plan B for the world's wealthy. But these programs are not equal access solutions. The people who benefit are already globally mobile, business owners, investors, and those with the means to buy security. Meanwhile, most travelers remain locked into the slow lane, unable to purchase the same exit. Concerns about corruption and weak due diligence have shadowed this market. A 2025 audit found that nearly 30% of Caribbean applications lacked full background checks, raising questions about oversight. Civic equality advocates warn that selling citizenship undermines the idea of equal mobility, turning a fundamental right into a luxury good. As one expert puts it, when passports become commodities, citizenship stops being about belonging and starts being about buying your way out. Digital nomad visas are often advertised as a passport to global mobility, but the reality is more selective. These programs require applicants to show a steady remote income, often above €2,500 a month, and to maintain private health insurance for the entire stay. Most schemes in Europe, Asia, and the Caribbean set the bar high. Portugal's D8 visa demands €3,500 per month, while the virtual work permit in the UAE calls for $5,000. There are compliance checks and upfront fees, sometimes reaching €1,200 or more. For those who qualify, the visa grants a year or two of residency, sometimes with the option to bring family. But this lane is designed for remote workers with stable jobs and savings, not for people facing the toughest travel barriers. Instead of closing the gap, digital nomad visas carve out a niche for the already mobile, leaving the core problem of passport privilege untouched. When the official routes close in, travelers get creative within the law, but always on uncertain ground. Some rely on anchor country thinking. They secure long-term residency in a country with a strong passport or generous visa policy, then use that status to unlock wider travel. Others turn to the visa run. In Southeast Asia, for example, a traveler on a 30-day stamp might cross the border to Malaysia or Cambodia for a weekend, then return to Thailand for a fresh stay. These tactics buy time, but they're never fully secure. Immigration officers can refuse entry, especially if they spot a pattern. Thailand's recent crackdown introduced fines up to $500 for repeat border hoppers. Long-stay loopholes exist too. Some countries offer student visas, language courses, or business registrations that grant temporary residency with fewer checks. But these paths often come with paperwork, fees, and shifting rules. One traveler describes the frustration. You plan everything by the book, but a single policy change can leave you stranded. An immigration lawyer explains, every border crossing is a gamble if you're relying on loopholes. Enforcement can change overnight. Travelers risk not just refusal, but fines, or even tax complications if they overstay or misinterpret residency rules. Mobility at this level is a matter of strategy, not equal access. Anyone relying on these workarounds must check official sources before every move. Rules change quickly, and what works today may not work tomorrow. Mobility shapes opportunity, but passport privilege draws the boundaries. Today, 80% of the world's population holds passports ranked below the global average, limiting access to jobs, safety, and family. Borders may look like lines on a map, but for millions, they are walls built of policy. What would open doors mean for you?